Hey, what's going on? Today I'll be doing a quick review of Essential Fantastic Four Volume 2. So, this is part of the Essential, Marvel Essential line, which is no longer continued, known for its black and white sort of artwork on sort of phone book type of paper. This volume collects Fantastic Four's issues number 21 through 40 and Fantastic Four Annual number 2. So, I took, I did like a brief outline here before I started recording, so I knew what to talk about this time. Okay, so in reviewing this, I thought I would start with the writing, generally speaking. So, in this volume, as opposed to the first one, with the first 20 issues, we start to see a gradual move away from the self-contained single issue story format to part one and part two issues, sort of anticipating the longer story arcs that will be the mainstay of the genre to come. Likewise, it seems that they put a lot more effort, Stan Lee being the writer and Jack Kirby being the artist, but under the Marvel method, it was sort of a collaborative effort. Anyway, it seems that they volume. It's hard to say. I don't want to say like this volume like it originally came like this. Obviously, I guess it's just as opposed to their earlier issues. I guess they started to incorporate more of the broader Marvel universe within the pages of Fantastic Four. And what do I mean by that? I mean, we have like cameos by Doctor Strange, a story arc about the Avengers and Fantastic Four fighting the Hulk. We have the X-Men come in for one issue and a cameo in another. And by the way, I haven't read any of the early X-Men stuff, but based on their appearances here, they were kind of out of pocket in their giant size X-Men days. Okay, they were wild, man. And we also see at the end. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit here. Well, I guess I would say that the first issue in here is probably the weirdest one. It's the villain's this guy Hate Monger, who kind of turns out to be Hitler. Okay, it's bizarre. They team up with Nick Fury. Okay, it's probably the weakest issue. It's very strange. Okay, and it ends in a two-part story with Daredevil helping the Fantastic Four. And that's not a combination that you think of often, and not one that I ever remember. Like, that's not an interaction that I've seen a lot. Daredevil and the Fantastic Four, but I guess he was their lawyer at first. So that's just a brief ramble about the writing development in the course of these 20 issues. As to the art, it's pretty much the same. It's great. It's fantastic. It's pretty iconic. Just one thing I noticed was that it seems that he sort of incorporated, I don't know, different art styles. Like there's two, like when he's doing space, it almost becomes when Jack Kirby's drawing space, I should say, it's almost like a separate art style. I noticed that he kind of, Jack Kirby, like incorporates, I think it looks like photorealistic, like actual pictures of like coral, and like has that in like the background of the art sometimes. I'll probably put the image up on screen so you know what I'm saying. I just thought it was strange. Anyways, okay, that's sort of like the meta stuff, the writing and the art. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the characters. So Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, what's he up to? Pretty much the same stuff as the first 20 issues. He's a little aggressive sometimes, but I maintain that a lot of like the worst panels that people post online are kind of taken out of context, in my opinion. But yes, he can be a little bit, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. The big development, obviously, is that, well, before the end of this volume here, Reed Richards and Sue Storm were just dating, but he proposes to her, and they're sort of setting up their wedding by the end of the volume. And as it pertains to Sue Storm, or the Invisible Girl, she probably is the one who had the most growth as opposed to the first 20 issues, in that it was discovered in the story that she has the latent abilities to create force fields, invisible force fields, as well as make other things invisible. The latter is not one that you think about or see that often, but the force fields obviously are sort of an iconic part of the character. That is surprising, perhaps, that she didn't have on the outset, at the outset of the series. But yeah, so this makes her a much more active and integral member of the team. She bails them out a lot of times. It's a pretty powerful ability. Yeah, so she's given a much bigger role in the story. Also, well, when what prompts the proposal, of course, is the conclusion of the sort of Namor love triangle. That, yeah, it seems like it's the conclusion of that triangle. I know that writers sort of cycle between trying to permanently end that and reintroduce that sort of love triangle with Reed, Sue, and Namor. But for now, it seems to have been concluded, and she chose Reed. The Thing. He gets a lot more time to shine. Not as much as he's going to get when he becomes like Marvel's second most famous character before like Wolverine, but yeah, he's a very colorful and funny way of speaking. I quite enjoy a lot. I mean, he gets some development too. You get some of his famous sort of phrases like "it's clobbering time" and his habitual references to his Aunt Petunia. There's a subtle, I wouldn't say subtle. I mean, it's just blink and you miss it. Like I think 2 times, which I find kind of interesting, is that they point out that he kind of like dumbs himself down a little bit. I guess. I don't know, for I guess for his team it's entertainment, but I guess it's mostly for the reader's entertainment. But it's like he's like a competent pilot who has degrees and stuff like that, but he sort of portrays himself as a clownish, sort of buffoonish figure. And two, in the final story arc of this volume where they lose their powers too, there was a reference where Ben Grimm sort of like he doesn't even feel like comfortable clowning around. It's like the Ben Grimm and the Thing character are like completely different ones. Like when he's Ben Grimm, he doesn't quite like speak or act the same way as he does when he's the Thing. It's almost like a role. That's just kind of interesting, I guess. Anyway, onto the Human Torch. I probably have like the least to say about him. He gets to say "flame on," I guess. Every time he takes off flying. I guess it's like another meta thing, is that he seems to be aging faster, like at a faster rate. It seems that Marvel allowed like the Human Torch and Spider-Man to, who are the same age, to like age and develop like from like high school to college, almost in real time as when these issues were coming out. Like now we have this like the scaling timeline or whatever, where like 5 years in our world, like in real life, equals like 1 year within the universe. But it seems like in the early days, it's almost 1-to-1. So like I think he started off at like 16. I think he's thinking about going to college or whatever. So it's just an interesting thing. Anyway, so as pertains to the Fantastic Four as a whole, yeah, I love their interactions. I love their banter back and forth and their horseplay, as it were. Yeah, it's fun, but it's usually how the issues begin is with them. Yeah, engaging with each other before getting interrupted by whatever the main issue's villain is doing. So moving on to the villains. So in this volume, specifically Fantastic Four Annual Number 2, we get the origin of Doctor Doom. And so before, we just knew that he went to college, State U, unnamed college, with Reed Richards and Ben Grimm, but we get that more elaborated on, as well as the introduction of the fictional country of Latveria, where it is revealed that Doctor Doom is the monarch of. Like before, he was just like before he was a guy without a country and without an origin, without a backstory. But now he hails from Latveria. He's the monarch of Latveria. So I guess it's funny they keep saying whenever Doctor Doom does anything, they're like, we have to let him go. He has diplomatic immunity. Like after he just tried to enslave New York. It's like, bruh. Yeah, so we get his backstory. He comes to America. I should say before that, we get the introduction of a sort of mystical background. It's not explored much yet, but it's the roots of that are in his origin tale. Anyway, so he comes to America. He does experiments, which will also be retconned later on, what those experiments were doing. Anyway, he was almost Mr. Fantastic's roommate, but he's kind of arrogant, which I mean that's everyone loves it. His like egotism and stuff like that, to various extents. Okay, I personally love the cartoonish bellicousness, at the arrogance of like Doom and Namor. I think it's pretty entertaining, but it's just funny. Anyway, so Doctor Doom bows out of being Reed Richards' roommate, so Ben Grimm, or the Thing, and Reed Richards end up being roommates. And anyways, so Doom's very standoffish, and before he's doing his experiments, Reed Richards tells him that his calculations are off, and Doom doesn't care. He isn't concerned with this lesser mind, and so he goes ahead anyway. And his experiment ends up literally blowing up in his face. And we don't see his face. And I know different writers will do different things with the extent of the damage to it. In any case, he gets expelled and he goes to like Nepal and becomes like a master of monks and stuff. And he gets his armor. And goes back home. Anyway, we also get the introduction of Diablo, who apparently hails from Transylvania, I guess, and Dragon Man, a sort of android dragon man. And it's a pretty cool issue that takes place on a college campus. And also we get, oh my god, we get the introduction of the Frightful Four, which are supposed to be like the bizarro, evil versions of the Fantastic Four. Not gonna lie, these guys suck, okay? I'm not a big fan, but they tried to push them, and I'm pretty sure they continue to try to prop them up as a serious threat. But bro, they're trash. The makeup of the Frightful Four, we have the Wizard. He has like anti-gravity tech. He's the leader. We have Paste Pot Pete, who quickly changes his name to the Trapster. He has like a glue gun and stuff like that, and you can like come up with traps to ensnare the FF. We have Sandman, the Spider-Man villain, and Medusa, which is a member of the Inhumans, the wife of Black Bolt. The Inhumans haven't been introduced yet. I'm not sure how that switch goes, but I'm pretty sure she's like brainwashed or something. Yeah, she obviously has the power to like manipulate her hair. I don't know how do you describe Medusa? Like manipulate her hair. It can do things like pick up things or like smack people. Okay, I don't know how you would even describe like what she does. Okay, her hair is like sentient kind of. It's kind of like a Mr. Fantastic's abilities, but like with on her head, okay? Anyway, so they make up the Frightful Four. From what I understand, like the Wizard and Pastepot Pete came from Strange Tales. They were like Human Torch enemies. Human Torch was headlining Strange Tales, the comic series, for a while. Anyway, and I'm pretty sure Wizard and Trapster are from Human Torch's solo stories over there, which were running concurrently with the Fantastic Four for a time. Anyway, they suck, but they keep trying to make them cool. It's never going to happen. Yeah, so I guess I will conclude this review of Fantastic Four, or Essential Fantastic Four, Volume 2. Is it a good read? Absolutely. And with that, thank you for watching. I hope you have a good one.